Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas, and this is how to make a third-person platformer in Unity, and welcome to episode 11. In this episode, we are going to carry on looking at our main menu, so we're creating a completely functioning main menu. We'll look at a level starting script. We'll also look at some credits that we can have as a scene. So firstly, since our main menu is created to an effect, but is still kind of pointless at the moment because it doesn't do anything, we're going to focus on that. So to start off with, I'm going to use a script we already have because I want to animate this background again just to make it look a little bit better. So game object, create empty, F2, and skybox object. And we can quite literally use the rotate sky script we wrote for the other scene. Press play and it works. That's how universal this actually is. So theoretically, you could use that on any scene you would like because it's always relevant to the scene that it's attached to. So let's get these buttons working properly and let's get this whole thing looking a little bit better. So Jimmy and Unity Platform, what a great name. I'm going to unbold that because I don't like it in bold. Let's get these buttons working. So the idea of how a button works is we have the button and the text attached to it, as we've already discovered, but there's a way to make these buttons work. Now I'm going to bring these into the center just here. So play game and quit game I'll put down here at the bottom. And I'm going to take play game, hold control, press D, duplicate, and just bring it down a little bit to there. And I'm going to have this as view credits. So we'll get around to that credit scene later on in this tutorial. So credits button. Now, what we need to do is if we go to our scripts folder and we right click, create C# script, let's have main menu function. And let's open that up in Visual Studio. So we'll be adding some sound effects into this as well. So as when we click a button, it actually makes a sound, as it were. So to do all of this, what we need to do is firstly add in our namespace scene management. So using Unity engine dot scene management semicolon. And the whole thing that we're going to use here is relatively simple. There's nothing too drastic about it. And to start off with, what we will do is we will have public void, and we'll call this play game, open close bracket, open curly bracket. And because we're actually using this on a button, that's the reason we need to have this as public void. If we didn't have that, the button wouldn't be able to function, or at least we wouldn't be able to get the script to work with the button in the way we want it to. Now, public void play game. As I say, we're going to use some sound effects, so we need to declare that here. So public audio source button press semicolon. So when we click the play game button, we want button press dot play, open close bracket, semicolon, and then at the same time we want to load the level. So what we can do here is it's entirely up to you how you want to work with this, but my recommendation at this point, I'm just going to save this scene, is to actually take ourselves to redirect level first. Now the reason I say this is because you can then manipulate this later on in the game itself, because this redirect level is always going to redirect us to the level we want rather than a specific level that the game wants. So if we go into our script folder, which is redirect script, and redirect to level, remember this is a public static variable. So by default, it's going to be 3. So let's remove that default now. Get rid of it and save the script. And what we can do is in the main menu function, after we've played the button sound, what we'll do is go redirect to level dot, and we can scroll down this list and find redirect to level equals 3 semicolon, and then scene manager dot load scene, and in brackets, whatever our redirect to level is. So I'm just going to put open close bracket, semicolon, file, build settings, and we can see here, redirect to level is going to be number 2. So in there for now is number 2. And save that script. So now obviously we need to bring in the audio source for us to play. So let's go to our audio. And I'm going to bring in 2 sound files. One is a click sound and the other is some background music for the actual menu itself. So it'll take just a second to think about that and import them in. There we go. So on our main camera, right click, create empty, F2, and let's call this click sound. And yep, you've got it. Drag and drop that onto there and make sure we untick play on await because we don't want it to play as soon as the scene starts. And at the same time, I'm going to add in menu background music as a game object as well. So hold Control, press D to duplicate click sound. F2 to rename. I'll just put BGM for background music. And drag and drop that into here. And I'm going to have that lower than what it is. So I want to have this as 0.07. and see how that pans out. So now we have this script ready to go. So let's add a new game object and let's call this button object. And oh, I've just realized here I'm doing this in the wrong scene. I should cut this. So let's get rid of button object, click sound, BGM, that's my fault. We actually need to bring ourselves into main menu there. My apologies. I should have noticed we were in the wrong scene when this nice colourful skybox didn't appear. So let's quickly redo that. Create empty on main camera. F2 and we'll have click sound. Audio, click onto there. Untick play and away. Hold Control, press D. BGM. And the BGM sound onto there, and we want play on away. Can change this to 0.07. Okay, so back where we were. Game object, create empty, rename to button object, and now we just need to attach that script we've written, which, if I can find it, main menu function onto there, and we need to drag and drop audio source into there. Now go into our canvas, onto play game. And what we need to do is over here in the inspector panel, in the button component, it says list is empty. So let's click the plus button and then we drag and drop the button object into this object here. So as it references whatever's attached to this object. Click on no function so we can add a function. And the script is called main menu function. So we click that. And the method we wrote is play game. So when we click the button, we want the method play game to be called. So we can do just that. So now press play. You can hear our background music. The main menu is doing something, so let's click on play game. Perfect. And there we go. You can see the sequence working as it should do at this point. Next thing we'll do is let's add in a function for the quit game button. And that one's real simple. We'll go public void quit game, open close bracket, and open curly bracket, and all we need to put here is application dot quit, open close bracket, semicolon, and save. So then we do the same again with the quit game button. We click on it, we click on plus, drag and drop the button object, click on no function, main menu function, and quit game. Now it's worth noting here that this quit game button, this whole function, this line that we're using of code, is only going to work when we run it as an actual executable file or on mobile devices. It's not going to function correctly within the engine of Unity itself, just because theoretically it doesn't recognize that that is the application to close. So just to show you what I mean, if we go on here and press quit game, we can press it as much as we want. It's not going to quit the game because this isn't the application. This is the engine itself. So when we build it, the button will work. Now, there's things we can do with these buttons to jazz them up a little bit. We could change our normal color to say maybe green if we wanted to. and the highlighted color. So what that means is when we hover the mouse over, it changes color. And we could always change the highlighted color to maybe a darker green, I guess. So you can see how that's working. So we hover over, it goes darker. And then the disabled color is probably best left gray, but these buttons won't be disabled at any point, so there's no point bothering with disabled color. Press color, you can change that to whatever you want. So if we have a blue, for example, all that would mean is that when we press the button, it changes it to blue before it does what it needs to do. So you can work with different colors. You can even attach images and sprites and all sorts to these buttons. We may do that at some point. Not quite sure yet. I haven't decided on this, but this is the general principle of how all this works. So now what we'll do is we will kind of, in a way, slightly duplicate what we're doing here, because this play game button, if you remember, already set redirect to level is 3. So we're going to need to write a script when we load level 1 that it also changes it to 3 just in case. And then obviously for level 2 it's going to be changed to level 4 and so on. It's sequential. So to do that we need a script for each level. So I'm going to right click, create a new folder in our scripts folder, and we'll call this level scripts. Open up, right click, create C# script. I'm going to have level 001, and within this script we're literally going to have the same line of code. So we're going to have redirect to level, so we can copy that and place it in void start, and to save space and whatever I'm going to get rid of void update and any annotations, and we can save that script. So at any point, if we should get rid of redirect to level or whatever, when we want to restart the game, for example, if we pause the game, which we will be doing, and we want to reset the level, we can easily do that. So let's get that script into level 1. So assets and level 001. Yes, let's save that. And then game object, create empty, F2, level, load, script. And then we just drag and drop it onto there. So that always sets the variable within the main redirect script. So now we've got all the sequence kind of working nicely. So let's create something real quick when it comes to credits. So let's save that scene. Let's go File, New Scene, and File, Save Scene As. Let's just have this as credits. It's always nice to have credits within your game so people know who you are, what you've created, and they can always look you up. So I'm going to do it a little bit similar to how I did the splash screen. So UI, raw image. I'm going to stretch it entirely, zero everything out. And I like to have it black. So have it black, and you can have it whatever color you want, obviously. I'm not going to bother renaming it. It can stay as raw image. Game object, and let's have UI text. And color I want to have as white, so it's a nice contrast against the black background. I'm going to align it to the left, and let's start with lead developer. So these are the titles of people. Next we'll have programmer, and then we can have artists maybe. So we've got a couple of artists, so we go down a little bit. We've also got story, so something like that. And let's have special thanks. So obviously you have all these people, you keep track of whoever's developing this and you work on it. So let's have this as, in fact, let's have the font on this one as Good Times again. And let's have the color as a kind of a slight blue color. Just kind of set it apart. And I'm going to hold Control and press D to duplicate. I'm going to bring it over this way, separate it just slightly. I'll change the font to white to give it a bit more variation, and I will align it here. So lead developer, let's have me, Jimmy Vegas. Programmer, let's have Mr. Other Vegas, I don't know. Artists, let's have someone from the NFL. How about Tom. We won't have Brady. We'll do Brady. How about that? Let's also have Chuck Boris. I don't know. I'm just making names up here, guys. And how about Johnny D? Story can be made by, I don't know, Mrs. Vegas. Special thanks to Big Don and Carlson, I guess. So there's some random names that I've made up here, and I'm going to go to game object, create empty, put that game object within the canvas, and right click, rename, credits, and then I'm going to drag and drop those two text objects into the credits. So now this credits becomes one single object. So I'm going to have those credits down the bottom of the screen, so they're off screen. And next thing we're going to do is just animate them, because I like scrolling credits. Best way to do it, isn't it, guys? So script folder, right click, create C# script, scroll credits, open that up in Visual Studio. And best way to do this, I'm going to say we can kind of activate the credits after a certain amount of time. So let's have public game object, and let's call this credits run semicolon, and I'm going to get rid of void update and any annotations, and this is going to be done in an IEnumerator. Open close bracket, sorry, we need to call it something first, don't we? Roll creds, open close bracket, open curly bracket, yield return new, wait for seconds, and I'm going to put 0.5 f semicolon, and credits run dot set active, true, that'll be semicolon. And what we need to do now is create that animation. So we're in our animations folder. Let's take our credits and basically animation, create, and let's have cred roll. So we've done this before. We press the record button, we're on our first keyframe, and we're going to scroll them upwards. So whatever the Y position is right now, which is -355 or 335, was it? I think 335. So we want to set that as our first keyframe, and I want the credits to scroll for, let's say, 15 seconds. So upwards up here, so we need to do 15 seconds worth of frames. In this case it'll be 900 because we're working in 60 frames per second. So by the 900th frame we want our credits to be up here off screen. So then we hit the record button again, and then project, and on the credits roll, untick loop time. So now we have that running, we can turn the credits object off up here. So we untick it, back into the script, and once we've set it as active, we then need to wait, yield, return new, wait for seconds, and we'll wait for 15, semicolon, and then we need to load ourselves back to the main menu. So obviously in doing so, we need to go using Unity engine dot scene management semicolon. So then after the 15 seconds we can go scene manager dot load scene, and in brackets I think it's number 2, but I'll double check that now. So let's save that script, head back to Unity, and let's quickly check in the build settings. Scene 1 it is, my apologies. It's scene 1, which is the main menu. So save that script. Oh, we need to start the coroutine here, don't we? So in void start, we need to go start coroutine, and in brackets, roll creds, open close bracket, semicolon, resave. And you've probably guessed it by now. We just need to attach that script into this scene. So game object, create empty, rename, cred object. And if I can remember what I called it. If I can't remember what I called it. Scroll credits, there we are. Onto there. And then we just need to set the credits object in the variable. Save that scene. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this whole sequence working correctly. So before we test that, I'm going to go back to main menu. And it is button object. So let's go into our main menu function script. And we'll add in public void play creds, open close bracket, open curly bracket. And it's going to be scene manager dot load scene, and I believe it's going to be number 4 because we need to load that scene into the build settings, and it should be number 4 by the time we do it. So let's save that script and we'll attach that to our button object. So view credits plus drag and drop button object, no function, main menu, and play creds. Save that scene. Let's go to our credit scene, file, build settings, add open scenes, save, and now let's test this whole function out from our splash screen to our credits, back to our main menu, and then to the level. So let's see this whole sequence working. So let's press play. Here we have our splash screen. Awesome. Main menu. So let's view credits. Excellent. So that's just simple credit scrolling. There's nothing too fancy about that. And any second, we should be transferred back to our main menu. Excellent. I like to see that. And now let's play our game. There we go. So one thing I did note there, the credits button, we didn't have the button press stop play. So let's copy that line of code and put it in play creds and save. And we're done. So next episode, what we're going to look at is we're going to be working solely within level 001 because we're going to stop our character from moving around, but we're going to do it in a kind of cool way. Or rather unique way, I should say. And we'll also start looking at pausing the game itself. Now, next episode is obviously episode 12 because this is 11. You should be able to see now that we're getting very close to actually being able to suddenly steamroll with this and get loads of levels together and pull it all together, and you will be right. So I think there's only going to be about 4 episodes left after this. By the time we get there, we'll have a fully functioning game, guys. So until that next episode, thank you very much for watching.